In this Elite Dangerous New Start Guide, we're starting out with 0 credits, and we're going to take the starting ship, the Sidewinder, and we're going to make ourselves millions and millions of credits. We're going to get the best small ship in the game, the Cobra Mark V. We're going to fully outfit it, and even after fully outfitting this amazing ship, we're still going to have nearly 40 million credits left over. And you can do this easily within the first few hours of playing Elite Dangerous. Now, if you're just starting out in Elite Dangerous, if you want to learn all the basics of Elite Dangerous, make sure you have a look through all of the tutorials. The good thing about the tutorials in this game is that you can do them right at the beginning of the game, but you can also give yourself a refresher anytime you want, because you can access the tutorials at any time, either from the main menu or also in-game from your ship. Now, in this video, I'll be giving you a ton of awesome new player tips and tricks, but I won't be going in depth into the basics of the game. So the game is going to start you in basically the starter system, and once you leave that system, you can't go back there. There's lots of missions and stuff that you can do in that system, so you can take advantage of that to make your initial credits. But this is basically what I recommend that you do as soon as you leave that starter system. And if you're brand new to the game and you just left the starter system, there's 2 different activities that I can highly recommend that you try out first. Number 1 is to check the missions at a station, and we're going to be looking for data delivery missions. So the missions are going to look like this here, and when you read the description of the mission, it's going to tell you that it wants you to deliver data, and you're going to make sure to get missions that are close by. So I recommend within 20 light years or less. I'd make sure that it's no more than a couple of jumps away, and especially with the Sidewinder, it starts with a very poor jump range, and by doing these missions, you'll be able to practice some of the basics of the game. Now, right now with the station that I'm in, there aren't any good data delivery missions, so I'm just going to skip straight to the activity that's going to be making us our initial money. Now, you can make some pretty decent money with the data delivery missions. You can definitely make enough to outfit your initial ship, but with this next activity, we're going to be able to make a nice bit more money. So you're going to want a system that has resource extraction areas, so you need to find a system that has planets that have rings, and in these resource extraction zones, we're going to be doing bounty hunting. Now, if you're a brand new player, bounty hunting is probably going to sound a little bit dangerous to you, but the way that we're going to do it is going to be very, very safe. You're going to want to avoid the hazardous extraction zones, but any of the other ones are fine, the high ones, low ones. I'm actually going to pick the high extraction zone right here. Once we get into the extraction zone, we're going to look for some ships that are in combat with each other. So we're going to be looking for ships that are wanted. So when you target a ship, you're going to automatically scan them. And then once your ship is done scanning, you're going to be able to see if the ship is wanted or not. But one very important thing is you're not going to want to immediately attack that ship just because it's wanted. The trick to this is to wait until System Authority attacks the ship. So we're looking for System Authority ships. So you'll notice most of the time when you target a ship, it's got that yellow orangish color to it when you target. For any System Authority ships, they're going to be green. And they also show up green on your radar. So we're looking for these System Authority ships. We're looking to see when they're attacking a wanted ship. Then we're going to make sure to wait until the wanted ship has suffered quite a bit of damage. And then we're going to attack the ship in order to get the bounty. Now, an important thing to remember is to not attack these ships too early, because we really don't want to get any attention on ourselves and risk getting our ship attacked. Now, don't worry too much about this. As long as you make sure to be attacking the ships that the System Authority is attacking, there's a good chance that they're not going to attack you. And if you want to be super safe, just wait until the System Authority has the ship nearly destroyed. As I said, doing bounties like this is very safe, but if you do end up being really unlucky and you get your ship destroyed, your buyback for your starter ship, even if you've upgraded it a little bit, will be really cheap. The only thing you really need to worry about is if you do get your ship destroyed, you will lose all of your bounties. And some of these bounties are very well paying. We're talking hundreds of thousands for one bounty. So this is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. We're just going to keep following around the System Authority ships, attacking whatever wanted ships that they're attacking. Make sure you don't accidentally attack any ships that aren't wanted. Certainly don't attack the System Authority ships. You can stay out here really for as long as you want. I was able to make 4 million in, I guess was about an hour or so. And once you get a good combat ship, doing bounties are a pretty decent way of making money. So I got a little over 4 million. Now I thought that this was going to be enough in order to be able to get the ship and outfit it the way that I wanted. It wasn't quite enough, but we'll talk about that now in a second. It's not going to be a big deal. But for the next ship that we're going to But for our ship that we're going to get right now, and to outfit it, I do recommend that you have maybe around 4.5 million or so. Now you're going to need to be at a station that sells the Cobra Mark V. For this, you're going to want to go to a website called Anara. Anara, in my opinion, is the most useful website for Elite Dangerous. There are quite a few really good third-party resources that you can use for Elite Dangerous, but if I was going to recommend just one, it would definitely be Anara. And I will make sure to leave a link to Anara down in the description for you guys. Now, before we can buy our ship, we're going to need to get our money by turning in our bounties. We're first going to need to go to the station services, go to the contacts menu, then we're going to click onto the administrative contact, and there's a tab here to turn in our bounties. So once we find our system that has our Cobra Mark V, luckily there's one in the system that I'm currently in. I'm going to get the Cobra Mark V, and I'm also going to get a 4A FSD for the Cobra Mark V. Again, in order to find a 4A FSD, I highly recommend using Anara. You can search for so many things in Elite Dangerous using this website. In there, we can put in the system that we're currently in, so we'll get systems that are close by. And then we're just going to put in the ship or the part, whatever it is that we're looking for. Now make sure you get an SCO FSD. You can see right here at the end in brackets, it says SCO. It basically makes it so you can use a boost while you're in Super Cruise. So if you want to get places a whole lot quicker, you definitely want to get one of the SCO FSDs. Now that we've got this done, I really should have gotten a fuel scoop on this ship as well. I do remember to get a fuel scoop later on. It's not that important to have a fuel scoop. Unless you go out into deep space, you're going to be able to find plenty of stations where you can go and refuel your ship. So unless you're going to be exploring well outside the bubble, a fuel scoop is not really a necessity, but it is very convenient to have a fuel scoop, and I highly recommend that you get one early on. And we're certainly going to be picking one up pretty soon here as soon as we have a little extra money. One thing you really want to avoid in Elite Dangerous is running out of fuel. As I said, I needed a little more money than I got from my bounties, but luckily I did have some exploration data. You'll get lots of exploration data just from flying around to different systems in Elite Dangerous. You're also going to want to scan each system, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But once you have the exploration data, you can go to Universal Cartographics and turn in your exploration data there for another chunk of money. We're going to be doing some Exo Biology. So I'm going to need a Atlas suit, which I can get in the station. So I just need to disembark, go into the elevator, into the station. And I can get an Artemis suit in here for Exo Biology at Pioneer Supplies. We'll talk more about Exo Biology a little bit later on. Just know that this suit is going to be crucial. It's going to cost you 150,000 credits. We're going to head back out to our ship. We also need to pick up a detailed surface scanner. These are going to cost you 250,000. Now for Exo Biology, the SRVs are useful as well. SRVs are vehicles that you can use down on the planet. They're a whole lot of fun in my opinion. Some people don't really like them, but I think they're a blast. I use them a lot for Exo Biology, and I think that it makes Exo Biology more fun. But for right now, we're just going to use our ship. Alright, next I'm going to talk about another resource that I used early on when I was playing this game. I found out about the Billionaires Boulevard. I will also leave a link to this website down in the description as well. This is great for doing Exo Biology. Exo Biology is one of the things that can make you the most money in the game. It is really, really good for making credits. It's really good as a solo way of making credits. It's how I made my first 2 billion in the game. Using the Billionaires Boulevard, I found a system close by that's great for Exo Biology. The FSD range on the Cobra Mark V now is around 30 light years, so that's pretty good, and it's going to get us to this location quite fast. Now, on our way to the system where we're going to do our Exo Biology, I'm going to make sure to scan each of these systems that I'm going through along my way. This is what elite players like to call honking the system. So all you're going to need to do is go to your Fire Groups panel. Then you're just going to need to keybind your D scanner. I've keybind mine to the right mouse click. You'll notice that I've also keybind the detailed surface scanner. This one is on my left click. You'll see shortly how we use the detailed surface scanner for Exo Biology. And now we're going to use our D-scanner to honk the system so we can get a little extra cash when we hand in our exploration data. Now with Exo Biology, you can actually do it without using any sort of guides at all, but you're not going to make as much money as if you were following a guide. Again, similar to the bounties we were doing earlier and the Exo Biology that we're about to do, if your ship gets destroyed before you turn that data in, you will lose all of that data. So make sure on a regular basis when you're visiting a station, you turn this in for a little extra cash. But we're going to use the Billionaires Boulevard, so we're going to be able to find really, really good planets that have tons of exobiology much easier. So now that we've gotten to the system, we're going to go into the system map, find the planet that we want to go to. We've got 7 biological on this planet, so that is going to give us quite a bit of money. We're going to head over there. We're going to use our surface scanner. So using the detailed surface scanner, what we're doing is we're shooting probes down onto the planet, and we need to scan 100% of the planet. So there are little techniques that you can do in order to scan the planet faster, but I don't mess around too much with this. I just shoot down a bunch of probes in different directions until I've got a full 100% scan. Once scanned, we're going to be able to see the biology that's on this planet. We're going to be able to tab through all the different ones. And you'll see as we're tabbing through, there's different locations on the planet that are highlighted with blue. That means that that biology that we're looking for is in that specific section. So then we just need to go down and land in one of these areas. Again, if you're brand new to the game, when you're going down to land on a planet, you don't want to go in too steep. I usually try and keep my ship somewhere around 50, 55 degrees. When I'm headed down to the surface, you will notice that you're going in too steep if you see the red like you see right now. So just make sure you keep it out of the red. Make sure you don't go too fast. You'll first go into orbiting the planet, and then when we get closer to the planet, as long as we're on the right angle and not going too fast, we will go into glide. That will very quickly get you down to about 3 or 4 kilometers off the surface of the planet. And then you can just fly the rest of the way down, deploy your landing gear, and land on the planet. Now at this point, you definitely want to make sure that you don't go too fast because you can certainly run into the planet and destroy your ship. Keeping a shield on your ship can help you with this. But either way, if you go into the planet really quick, you're going to destroy your ship no matter what. But starting off, err a little bit on the side of caution. Definitely take your time going down to the planet. And after a while, you'll definitely get the hang of it. So we're going to head down. And then using our ship, we're just going to fly along until we see some exobiology. It actually stands out pretty good. It might take you a little bit of time to recognize the different types of exobiology. Just make sure you're not going too fast so they have time to spawn in. As you can see down here, we've got a bunch of different groups. We're going to land next to this group right here. Now, before we leave our ship and start doing the exobiology, we're going to hit 3 to go to the panel where we can disembark. So here, right next to where it says disembark, we're going to need to go to the loadouts, and in here we can make a specific loadout for the Artemis suit. And then we'll have this loadout for any future exobiology that we want to do. So when you're ready to analyze exobiology, you're going to want to hit 5 to take out the analyzer, and then we can use this to scan the exobiology. We're going to see a few different examples here. The first one we're going to get is called Stratum Tectonicus. This is the best one that you can get in the game. It's nearly 20 million just for this one type. We're going to scan this one, and then we're going to need to go a little ways away in order to scan another one. You're going to need to scan 3 of these in order to collect the data for it, and you can't scan 3 that's in the one small area. So we're going to jump into our ship, head a little ways away, jump out and scan another one. You can also run around like I'm doing here. There is tons of exobiology in this area, so I'm easily able to run around and grab them. But in different circumstances, you might have to go quite a ways away. So that's where using your ship or having an SRV really comes in handy. So I'm going to go around and get all of the Stratum Tectonicus. You can see here that I'm doing a little pulse. That's by using the right mouse click. I'm doing this because anything that I can scan will show up green, and anything that I can't scan, if it's not far enough away, it'll show up blue. So you can see here that this one is green, so I know that I can scan it. Now there are definitely quite a few little things that you're going to need to learn while you're doing exobiology. Like there are different distances that you need to go depending on what it is that you're scanning. Some stuff you need to go quite a ways away in order to scan another one. Some stuff you can scan it very close together. It's going to take a while for you to recognize all the different types of exobiology that you can get. The Billionaires Boulevard definitely helps out a lot with this kind of stuff. So I'm going to grab 4 different types of exobiology on this planet. Just 4 types of exobiology should be able to get us more than enough money to be able to completely outfit our Cobra Mark V, and we'll have plenty of money left over, at least enough to buy another ship. Now let's head back to a station, turn in our data, and see how much money we get. Alright, now that we're back at a station, you're going to want to disembark again. This time we're going to be heading over to Vista Genomics. This is where you need to go to hand in your exobiology data. As you can see here, we made around 51 million. Not bad for just scanning 4 things. Back in our ship, let's do some outfitting. Now I recommend that you get A class for nearly everything that you pick up. The lightweight alloys are great for now. We're definitely not going to need to upgrade the armor on this ship. The lightweight alloys are perfect for what we're going to be using this ship for. We're going to get a 4A power plant, a 4A thrusters, and make sure you always keep in mind, if the station that you're currently in doesn't have the part that you want, you can always use Anara to find any part that you're going to want for your ship. So we've already gotten a 4A FSD. Now for the life support, we're actually going to go with a 3D instead of the 3A. Basically, A's are the best as far as performance goes, but D's are going to be the lightest. If it's something like life support, where you don't need to have like the top performance from the life support, getting the 3D like we did here will make sure that the ship is lighter, so it has a better jump range, and the lighter your ship, the more maneuverable it'll be as well. Then we're going to also grab the 4A power distributor and a 3D sensors, because again, we want to get those lighter sensors for the weight reduction. Now, if you're going to be doing a bunch of exobiology, which I do highly recommend to get a huge chunk of money early on, you want to keep your optional internals to a minimum. In addition to what we already have, maybe you might want to grab yourself an SRV, and I would definitely recommend you get a fuel scoop. I'm actually going to grab a 5A fuel scoop here, so we can scoop fuel from a star very quickly. Then we'll be able to jump from system to system without much delay. I'm not going to have any hard points on this ship at all for doing exobiology. As a new player, you might want to keep at least a small shield on your ship just in case, but you can also go with no shield at all in order to get a better jump range. And as long as we don't have anything in our cargo hold, we don't have to worry about pirates bothering us. For the most part, pirates are completely going to leave you alone in this game, unless you're specifically doing a mission or you have some cargo on you that they might want to take from you. So for exobiology, you want to have the best jump range that you can get and keep yourself lightweight. Now, if you're going to go back into doing bounty hunting, which is a ton of fun, especially with the Cobra Mark V, you're going to want to pick yourself up some weapons, either pick up some beam lasers or some pulse lasers. And I highly recommend for newer players to get yourself some multi-cannons. I would recommend that you pick up 2 class 1 pulse lasers, and then 1 class 2 pulse laser, and then 2 class 2 multi-cannons. This should definitely be enough to get you started with bounty hunting. And of course, make sure to get yourself a good shield, and that should be enough to get you started with bounty hunting. Now, I think that the Cobra Mark V is the absolute best starter ship in Elite Dangerous. It's a multi-role ship that's very good at exploring, very good at combat, and you can even use it early on for mining. But if I had to recommend one more ship that you should get very early on in Elite Dangerous, I would have to recommend one of my favorite ships, which is the Mandalay. This ship is the best explorer that you can get. So especially if you really want to get into exploration, which I highly recommend for new players, working to get that Mandalay very early on is a great idea. I hope this video helped you out. I'm pretty new to making videos for Elite Dangerous, so let me know any other new player guides that you might want to see. If this video helped you out, it would be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, stay where you're at, and I'll come where you're to. Later, everyone.